Exploring the rise of U.S. true crime. Introduction. Crime podcasts have become a cultural juggernaut in the United States, captivating millions of listeners with gripping narratives of murder, mystery, and justice. From the groundbreaking success of Serial in 2014 to the proliferation of shows like Crime Junkie, My Favorite Murder, and The Vanished, the genre has transformed from a niche curiosity into a mainstream phenomenon. According to a 2022 Pew Research Center study, 34% of U.S. adults who listened to podcasts in the past year regularly tuned into true crime content, making it the most popular podcast genre in the country. This essay explores the factors driving the rise of true crime podcasts, their societal impact, the ethical dilemmas they raise, and their future trajectory, offering a critical perspective on why Americans are so captivated by stories of crime and justice. 1. The origins of true crime podcasts. 1. Historical context of true crime storytelling. The fascination with true crime is not new. For centuries, humans have been drawn to stories of deviance, violence, and justice, from the broadsheets detailing Jack the Ripper's crimes in the 1880s to Truman Capote's In Cold Blood in 1965, often cited as the genesis of modern true crime storytelling. These narratives tap into a primal curiosity about the darker aspects of human nature, offering a lens through which to explore morality, justice, and societal order. The advent of mass media, newspapers, radio, television, and later documentaries, amplified this fascination, but it was the rise of podcasting in the early 2000s that revolutionized how true crime stories were consumed. Podcasting emerged as a medium in 2003 with shows like The Daily Source Code, but the first true crime podcast, True Crime with Burl Barer, debuted in 2008, laying the groundwork for the genre. However, it was Serial, launched in 2014 by journalist Sarah Koenig and produced by This American Life, that catalyzed the true crime podcast boom. The first season, which investigated the 1999 murder of Hae Min Lee and the conviction of Adnan Syed, attracted over 40 million listeners and introduced the serialized, investigative format that became the genre's hallmark. Serial's success demonstrated the power of audio storytelling to immerse listeners in complex narratives, setting a template for countless shows to follow. 1.2 Technological and cultural catalysts. The rise of true crime podcasts coincided with technological advancements and cultural shifts. The widespread adoption of smartphones and streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify made audio content accessible, allowing listeners to consume podcasts during commutes, workouts, or household chores. By 2023, 75% of Americans aged 12 and older had listened to a podcast in the past month, with true crime being a leading genre. Culturally, the early 2010s saw a growing distrust in institutions, including the criminal justice system, fueled by high-profile cases of wrongful convictions and police misconduct. True crime podcasts filled a void by offering in-depth investigations that questioned official narratives, appealing to listeners seeking justice or closure. The genre's narrative-driven format, blending suspenseful storytelling with real-world stakes, resonated with an audience craving both entertainment and insight. 2. Why true crime podcasts resonate. 2.1 Psychological appeal. True crime podcasts tap into deep-seated psychological impulses. Criminologist Dr. Scott Bond argues that the genre satisfies a need to make sense of a chaotic world by exploring the motivations behind heinous acts. The narrative arc of a crime, its commission, investigation, and resolution, provides a sense of order and closure, even when cases remain unsolved. Psychologist Dr. Amanda Vickery notes that the storytelling format makes listeners active participants, fostering emotional investment and a sense of involvement in solving the mystery. The genre's focus on the macabre also serves as a safe way to confront fear. True crime podcasts allow listeners to explore the darkest corners of human behavior from the safety of their own lives, offering a form of escapism that is both thrilling and controlled. For many, particularly women, who make up approximately 73 to 75% of true crime podcast listeners, the genre provides practical knowledge about avoiding victimization, serving as both entertainment and education. 2.2 The intimacy of audio. The auditory nature of podcasts creates a unique connection between host and listener. Unlike television or books, podcasts rely on sound to convey emotion, allowing listeners to visualize scenes and feel a personal bond with hosts and victims. Skilled hosts like Sarah Koenig, Serial, Ashley Flowers, Crime Junkie, and Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hart-Stark, My Favorite Murder, use conversational tones, vivid descriptions, and strategic pacing to draw listeners into the narrative. Cliffhangers and serialized storytelling keep audiences engaged, while high-quality production, music, sound effects, and clear audio enhances immersion. 2.3 Community and engagement. True crime podcasts foster vibrant listener communities. Shows like My Favorite Murder have cultivated fan groups and live events, where listeners discuss cases, share theories, and connect over shared interests. Social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, amplify this engagement, with hosts like Ashley Flowers, at Ashley Flowers, and Brit Prawat, at Brit Prawat, interacting directly with fans. This sense of community transforms passive listening into an active, participatory experience, strengthening the genre's appeal. '3. The cultural impact of true crime podcasts. 3.1 Shining a light on cold cases and injustices. True crime podcasts have had a tangible impact on the criminal justice system. By revisiting cold cases and highlighting wrongful convictions, shows like Serial and In the Dark have led to real-world outcomes. For example, Serial's coverage of Adnan Syed's case contributed to his conviction being overturned in 2022, though legal proceedings continue. Similarly, In the Dark's investigation into Curtis Flowers' case led to his release after 6 trials marred by racial bias. These podcasts generate public awareness, prompt new leads, and pressure authorities to re-examine cases, earning praise from some law enforcement officials for jump-starting investigations. Podcasts also amplify marginalized voices. Shows like Missing and Murdered, Finding Cleo explore cases involving Indigenous communities, shedding light on systemic issues like Canada's residential school system. By focusing on overlooked or mishandled cases, true crime podcasts give victims and their families a platform to share their stories, humanizing those often reduced to statistics. 3.2 Shaping public perception of justice. The serial effect, a term coined to describe the influence of true crime podcasts on public perception, has altered how Americans view the justice system. Unlike fictional shows like CSI, which create unrealistic expectations about forensic evidence, the CSI effect, true crime podcasts present real cases, blending investigative journalism with storytelling. This can educate listeners about legal procedures and systemic flaws, but it also risks skewing perceptions when hosts lack expertise or sensationalize details. For example, Serial's in-depth analysis of Adnan Syed's trial raised questions about evidence and due process, encouraging listeners to question official narratives. However, critics argue that such podcasts can mislead audiences by presenting incomplete or biased accounts, potentially influencing jurors or public opinion in ongoing cases. 3.3 Mainstreaming true crime culture. True crime podcasts have permeated popular culture, inspiring books, TV shows, and films. Novels like Sadie by Courtney Summers and Truth Be Told by Kathleen Barber weave fictional true crime podcasts into their narratives, reflecting the genre's influence. Television series like Only Murders in the Building and Bodkin feature podcasters as protagonists, signaling a shift from traditional detective archetypes. The genre's popularity has also led to merchandise, live tours, and fan conventions, with My Favorite Murder pioneering the true crime comedy subgenre. 4. Audience demographics and motivations. 4.1 Who listens to true crime podcasts? True crime podcasts attract a diverse audience, but certain demographics dominate. According to Pew Research Center, women are nearly twice as likely as men to listen to true crime podcasts, 44% versus 23%, with women with a high school diploma or less being the most likely subgroup, 57%. Younger listeners, ages 18 to 29, are also more engaged, with 41% regularly tuning in, compared to 15% of those 65 and older. Listeners with less formal education are more likely to consume true crime content, possibly due to its accessible, narrative-driven format. 4.2 Why they listen. Listeners cite entertainment, 85%, and the ability to multitask, 84%, as primary reasons for engaging with true crime podcasts. Unlike news or opinion-based podcasts, true crime is less about staying informed and more about storytelling and escapism. For women, the genre may offer empowerment through knowledge about self-protection, while also providing a safe space to process fears of victimization. Survivors of domestic violence, in particular, find the genre healing, as it allows them to revisit trauma in a controlled environment. 5. Ethical considerations and controversies. 5.1 Sensationalism and exploitation. The true crime podcast boom has raised ethical concerns. Critics argue that the genre can trivialize real tragedies, turning victim stories into entertainment. Shows like Crime Junkie and My Favorite Murder have faced accusations of plagiarism, lack of research, and insensitivity, particularly for focusing predominantly on white victims or using humor that some find inappropriate. For example, Crime Junkie's Ashley Flowers was criticized for using uncredited research, prompting episode removals, while My Favorite Murder faced backlash for offensive merchandise and cultural insensitivity. 5. 2. Impact on victims and families. True crime podcasts can re-traumatize victims' families and co-victims, those indirectly affected by a crime. Research by Kelly Bowling at the University of Nebraska highlights how coverage can be healing for some but devastating for others, particularly when families are not consulted or their stories are sensationalized. Ethical podcasters address this by featuring interviews with victims' families, donating proceeds to victim support organizations, or focusing on systemic issues rather than graphic details. 5.3 Amateur sleuths and misinformation. The rise of armchair detectives has complicated investigations. Listeners inspired by podcasts sometimes conduct their own inquiries, potentially interfering with official investigations or spreading misinformation. For instance, online communities discussing serial-generated theories that muddied the waters of Adnan Syed's case. While crowdsourcing can yield new leads, as seen in the Truth and Justice podcast, it also risks vigilante justice or false accusations. 5.4 Ethical storytelling. In response to criticism, some podcasters have adopted Vic. 6. Notable true crime podcasts and their influence. 6.1 Serial, 2014 present. Serial remains the gold standard, with its first season revolutionizing the genre. Its investigative rigor, led by Sarah Koenig, set a precedent for serialized storytelling and inspired a wave of similar shows. The podcast's impact on Adnan Syed's case underscores its real-world influence. 6.2 Crime Junkie, 2017 present. Hosted by Ashley Flowers and Britt Prawat, Crime Junkie is a listener favorite, known for its concise storytelling and wide-ranging case coverage. Despite plagiarism controversies, its accessibility and engaging format have made it a top-ranked show. 6.3 My Favorite Murder, 2016 present. Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark's My Favorite Murder blends humor with true crime, appealing to fans who enjoy a lighter take on heavy topics. Its success lies in its relatable hosts and strong community engagement, though it has faced criticism for insensitivity. 6.4 The Vanished, 2016 present. Hosted by Marissa Jones, The Vanished focuses on missing persons cases, often overlooked by mainstream media. Its empathetic approach and collaboration with families set it apart as a model for ethical storytelling. 6.5 In the Dark, 2016 present, led by Madeline Barron, In the Dark combines investigative journalism with compelling narratives, notably contributing to Curtis Flowers' release. Its fact-heavy, straightforward style makes listeners feel like co-investigators. 7. The future of true crime podcasts. 7.1 Evolving formats and platforms. As podcast consumption shifts toward short-form content, shows like Morning Cup of Murder offer bite-sized episodes, 5 to 15 minutes, catering to audiences with limited time. Platforms like Spotify and Wondery Plus are investing heavily in exclusive content, with subscriptions like Supergrok offering higher usage quotas for listeners. Voice mode, available on the Grok iOS and Android apps, may also enhance interactivity, allowing listeners to engage with hosts in new ways. 7.2 Ethical evolution. The genre is likely to continue prioritizing ethical storytelling, with more shows focusing on victim perspectives and systemic issues. Research into the impact of true crime media, like Kelly Bowling's work, may lead to industry best practices, ensuring respect for victims and families. 7.3 Global expansion. While US-centric, true crime podcasts are increasingly exploring international cases, as seen in Notes on a Scandal and Can I Tell You a Secret? This global perspective broadens the genre's appeal and highlights diverse justice systems, enriching the narrative landscape. 7.4 Challenges ahead. The genre faces challenges, including oversaturation and listener fatigue. With over 20,000 true crime podcasts available, standing out requires innovation in storytelling and production. Ethical concerns and the risk of misinformation will also demand greater accountability from creators. 8. Conclusion. The rise of true crime podcasts in the United States reflects a convergence of technological accessibility, cultural fascination with crime, and a desire for justice and understanding. From Serial's groundbreaking debut to the diverse offerings of today, the genre has reshaped how Americans engage with crime narratives, fostering communities, influencing legal outcomes, and sparking ethical debates. While criticisms of sensationalism and exploitation persist, the shift toward victim-centered storytelling and rigorous journalism signals a maturing genre. As true crime podcasts continue to evolve, they will likely remain a powerful medium for exploring the complexities of human nature, justice, and society, captivating listeners for years to come.